Hey guys, it's Simon here with HobbiesofaMan. Once again, and today we're doing another issue review. Today we're looking at Ultimate Spider-Man number 15. This is by Hickman with art by Messina and the rest by Wilson. So Messina actually draws Spider-Man doing Spider-Man stuff in this time, in this issue, which is great because usually he only draws Peter and company doing like talking face kind of issues. And in this one, he finally gets to actually play with the dynamics of Peter and Richard in this case, kind of swinging through different places and having to do action scenes, which is really good. I actually really enjoyed it. I said it looked really, really good. So I really enjoyed this. So this issue is pretty good. I really liked it. I think it's interesting because after all of the stuff that happened with Harry and the kind of Craven's Hunt kind of part of the story, this feels like a reset and also a continuation. So at this point we get introduced to Sandman, and it was really enjoyable. So this opens up in March in the Grand Canyon, I guess, somewhere in the eastern in the western part of the U.S. After Texas, before California, one of those very square-shaped states. I would assume it's Colorado because that's what it seems like, right? And the characters here are actually in a trailer park, and they're vacationing, actually on the run, but vacationing in order to kind of make it seem better for themselves. And I definitely understand this concept, right? If you're kind of fearing for your life and you can kind of play with the meaning of words a little bit to make it easier on yourself and your kids, go for it, right? I think that this makes quite a lot of sense, right? And the kids are waking up. Peter and MJ are already up and about, and as the kids are getting ready to start their day, a weirdo that is kind of their neighbor shows up. He wears these weird goggles on his face, and he talks to them as he gives them coffee to drink, and he tells them, about the stuff in the area, about the fact that there's aliens all over the place, that they see different UFOs and stuff all over the place, and that there's a specific part of the region where people just disappear and no one knows what happens to them. And so this kind of calls back a little bit like Area 51, Mount Rainier, that sort of western kind of part of the country kind of lore, and I liked it a lot. I thought that was a nice callback. But Peter and Richard, due to Peter's necessary feelings of saving people, decide to go check out this area that this guy said people disappear in, right? And they do this later in the issue. Before that happens, though, we see that Richard is actually texting Felicia, and they're kind of flirting, and they're kind of dealing with the fact that Richard kind of wants to date her. And he's trying to do his best to not fumble the bag, and he's doing okay, I guess. But he's getting cock-blocked constantly by the lack of signal in this region of the world, right? And it's kind of funny. I thought it was kind of cute and enjoyable, and also kind of very, honest to like this boy who gets to meet this slightly older girl that's really, beautiful to his estimation, and she kind of likes him. And so it's fair that he's dealing with this and constantly being like, crap, why did I say that? What is going on? What the fuck is wrong with me, right? Like, I like that. I appreciate that. I think it's very realistic, and I like that Hickman did a good job with that. So yeah, but eventually Peter and Richard go out to this region of the Grand Canyon, and they go check it out, and the suit stops them at this point, and then Peter has a very serious conversation with it, and he tells them, do you remember the rules? He starts saying them, and he kind of is joking about this, but Peter stops him, and he's like, no, the rule this time is that you protect Richard no matter what. You make sure that he gets away if things get dangerous, right? And the suit is like, well, yeah, but I'll also try to save you because that's what you would do, right? And so I like this. I think it's interesting. The suit also becomes a little spider. So this is kind of like interesting because is this little spider supposed to be showing the fact that, they are Spider-Man? Or is it more about the fact that this little spider is going to become Venom, and then that's why it's going to have this crazy, evil like vibe to it? I really enjoyed it because the spider is kind of cute, but it's also kind of creepy, and that's just because I don't like spiders, but I don't know if that's how it felt to everyone else. So I don't know. I thought it was cool either way. I really, really enjoyed it. And then they arrive at the weird place. It's a power plant, and Peter starts trying to teach Richard how to be a superhero, right? To kind of move this way and that and be careful and do this and all of that stuff. But obviously Peter is really not good at it either. So as he's trying to teach Richard, he's kind of getting constantly screwed over by this weird, like, pile of sand that just shows up, right? And as the sand forms into a man, the tower that they're near starts discharging electricity. And every time it shoots electricity out, it dispels this man, right? And so Peter is getting ragdolled, but also constantly dropped on the floor, and he doesn't have time to react. And eventually, Richard sees his dad dealing with this and figures out what to do, right? And so he sends the nanites, or the pico knights, or whatever they're called, to disable the tower. And when he does, the pile of sand reforms into a giant man and then shrinks down into a real person. And this becomes, the Sandman. I forgot his real name, but he thanks them for forcing him back into his human shape, and he kind of finally remembers what he's doing. He finally has sense again, and he's happy that they freed him from his prison, right? And he explains to them that he was someone that was meddling what he wasn't supposed to. He got into this area, and then he got caught. And when he got caught, he got turned into this pile of sand monster because no one was going to miss him, right? And so this is how he became this monster. Then the people that were there before built this tower so he couldn't reassemble himself. So there was no evidence, right? And then he was left here for 3 years. And he thanks them a lot, right? And so they go back to their trailer park, and at night, in a different scene, Peter and MJ are talking, and they're kind of flirting with each other, but also just kind of dealing with their new reality. And then they talk about checking in with Ben, right? And it turns out that Ben is doing fine, and they're kind of talking about things in code. And then when the call finally finishes, Wilson Fisk shows up at the paper. And at the paper, he talks to Ben and J. Jonah Jameson, and he tells them, because you wrote under a pseudonym, I found every person named Ben Riley, and I killed all of them because no one deserves that name anymore because you tried to use it to mess with me. And he does this as a way to kind of try to get them to back off. And when they don't, he kind of smiles and he's happy about this. And he tells them, good, continue to do what you're doing, but now you're doing it under my authority. And you're doing this because I need a villain, right? Wilson Fisk wants to be a hero. He wants to be well-loved. And in order to be able to do that, he needs someone that disparages him, right? Someone that he can fight against kind of legally and easily and out in the open. And so this is what the paper will be. And Ben says that, he can keep on dreaming and that he'll be there to write the obituary when Wilson Fisk, faces his punishment for what he's been doing, right? And it's pretty awesome. I really enjoyed it. I think that Ben being this way is really awesome because it shows, a little bit about where Peter got his own sense of justice from. And I like that a lot. I think it's cool. But I am kind of worried about this because this is another death flag for Uncle Ben. And Harry already died, so, we can kind of skip that. But there is kind of a need for Peter to reaffirm his superheroing, right? And there hasn't been one yet. And the fact that they're setting up this death flag for Uncle Ben feels like this might be it, right? Like, eventually Uncle Ben will die because of Peter's actions. And this is what's going to solidify his superheroing, right? His reason for existence. And that's kind of worrisome because we've managed to avoid that trope already. I wouldn't necessarily like it if it happened again, but if it did, I wouldn't hate it. I would just be mildly disappointed, right? I feel like there would be kind of a little bit of a loss on Hickman's part if he did this, right? So, I don't know. Maybe it's kind of not a big deal. I'm not really sure, but those are my thoughts on that. So, those are my thoughts on this book. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. What did you guys think? Let me know down in the comments, and thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys later.